And now, from Ukraine, it's my...
Тепер від імені України я хочу представити голову Офісу Президента України, пана Єрмака, який до нас приєднується онлайн.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm glad to greet our foreign guests, Presidents of Poland, Mr. Andrzej Duda, and Mr. Pekka Haavisto, Minister of the Foreign Affairs of the Finland. And I'd like to thank Mr. Pinchuk for organizing this very important event and having us here. Last weekend, Russia launched another massive air raid on Ukraine, and one of the missiles hit on the ordinary residential building. Again, this time it was in Dnipro, and entire sections with dozens of apartments was completely destroyed. 41 lives were lost in the moment, and several dozens of wounded are struggling to survive. Ukrainians have been living through the horror of the 11 months in a row. And it is no wonder we are incredibly eager to win. After all, no normal person in the Eve would want missiles to hit their home. But no victory is complete without restoration of justice. What means the guilty must be punished, and the damages we have caused must be compensated. The crime repetition must be prevented. What's what the Ukrainian peace formula President Zelensky presented provides for? In our case, justice is reached through trial of those who committed war crimes. We've registered 80,000 crimes committed by the Russian invaders. Over 9,000 civilians have been killed, including 453 children. And these are the facts established so far. Alas, the tragedy scale is much greater. For nearly every liberated town or village, we find evidence of torture and extrajudicial executions. Innocent people murdered by thousands, hundreds of destroyed settlements and demolished infrastructural objects. Numerous international decisions and resolutions mention them. We will forgive not a single torture or life taken, not a single destroyed home, not a single tear of Ukrainian child. Each criminal will be held accountable. The General Prosecutor Office of Ukraine, our law enforcement agency, and the International Criminal Court are working on it. But there are several types of culprits of our case. The first is one who committed a war crime. A Russian soldiers who came to kill on Ukrainian soil, or missile operator who sent death to the peaceful city. And there is the second type, was people in power who have enabled or know this terror, with top officials who have committed the primary crime of aggression. The war-mongering leaders, we have answers. We know how to bring to justice both direct perpetrators and those who embellished the aggression. To restore international order and exchangeable respect for international law, we need your help. From the darkness with dying empire is dragging the world. Together we can get it back to the light. We are making history together. And it depends on your combined efforts how hard and how quickly we can crack down on these inhumans committing the immense atrocities in the 21st century. Russia has already been recognized an aggressor state by United Nations General Assembly. But to punish the Russian top political leaders for the crime of aggression, we need a special international tribunal. For the International Criminal Court does not have inappropriate jurisdictions. And Ukraine, together with the partner states, is doing everything possible to create the special tribunal. Another option is for United Nations Security Council to qualify Russia's actions as an act of aggression and refer the matters to International Criminal Court. But Russia still has the veto rights in the Security Council. It is high time to deprive the terrorist states of any rights in the United Nations, because it has repeatedly violated all the international community rules. The special tribunal would be able to progress much faster than International Criminal Court can investigate crimes related to mass atrocities. In defining specific individuals guilty of war crimes and crimes against humanity, especially at the political leadership level, is a difficult task. Meanwhile, the special tribunal might issue the indictment in about 2 to 3 months. After all, it is relatively easier to prove the fact of the crime of aggressions on the part of Russia. It has already been recognized in the United Nations General Assembly resolution and other international bodies. It is an extremely important step for Ukraine and the democratic world. PSCE, the European Parliament, the NATO Parliamentary Assembly, the same as Lithuania, the Parliament of Estonia, the Netherlands, the Czech Republic, and Latvia support this initiative. Similar decisions are being made in the United States and Germany. The European Council has started working on the mechanism to establish the tribunal. But now, more than ever, we need deconsolidated international support for adoption of the United Nations General Assembly resolution to establish the tribunal. We ask all civilized states to join these initiatives. An equally important issue is compensation for the damage the Russian troops caused to Ukrainians. So far, Russia has destroyed 54,000 residential buildings, over 2,000 educational institutions, 480 hospitals, 316 cultural monuments, 88 churches, and nearly 4,000 livelihood infrastructure networks, not to mention thousands of industrial enterprises, warehouses, gas stations, shopping malls, and other assets. Every minute, the list is getting longer. The United Nations General Assembly has already agreed on the concept of the compensation mechanism. It provides for the creation of the International Registry of Losses, an International Compensation Commission, and the Compensation Fund to be financed primarily with Russian assets, including gold and currency reserves. We call on our partners to adopt changes to the national legislations to confiscate assets and transfer them to the compensation fund. It is also extremely important that the G7 countries join the international agreements on creating the registry of the damages and the compensation commission, which Ukraine will propose jointly with the Netherlands. We call all civilized nations to stand up for justice. Once again, two things are necessary: the special international tribunal and the legislation to compensate for the damages the Russian aggressions caused. Liberty is impossible without strong justice. Let's make it work, lest one dictator or another tries to repeat invading sovereign states. United and strong, we can stop them. Thank you very much. Слава Україні!
Дякуємо красно, пане Єрмак. Дякуємо за те, що ви приєдналися до нашого обговорення.